let's try and do this. Mic auxiliary. Okay, let's try this. Rosemary, thank you so much for responding so quickly, and thank you for watching. Hello. Let me know if it is still echoing right now. Hopefully it's not. I think I had two of the mics open, which shouldn't have been. So hopefully it's a little bit better now. Let me know if it's better. It worked. All right. Thank you for saving the stream, Rosemary. So where was I? So I'm not a huge Zak Bagans fan at all. I had pre-notions of what other people had been talking about in regards to what they felt this movie was about. And tagged along with that was the premise of not believing the story of this family in Gary, Indiana. And the doubtfulness and the possible debunking that many of these people had done, that they just were not believing the story, and they thought that Zak Bagans was actually trying to create a persona, a hype for himself. This is his first film or major film, basically, that he's created on his own. And so I sort of jumped on that bandwagon a little bit, obviously without seeing this movie because it had not been released until yesterday. So I had that sort of bias going into it. For the first maybe 40 minutes or 30 minutes of the movie itself, it's basically a documentary. For those first 30 minutes or so, I was still very doubtful. I was debunking many of the things that were coming across, especially when he was not able to talk to the family that actually lived there. They refused to talk to him, later finding out that they actually are in contract with some Hollywood studio that there's going to be, I guess, another movie, a major motion picture movie that's going to be coming out in regards to this. And so maybe it was their non-disclosure agreement or some other contract that they signed that they were not allowed to talk to anybody else. So he was not able to talk to the family directly at all. He did talk to some of the squatters that were living in the home after the Ammons family had left the place. And after sort of greasing their hand, meaning giving them money, they then spoke. But prior to him giving this money to them, they were adamant about saying that there was no activity going on in the home when these squatters had been living there. And they had been living there for maybe about a year or so. And so a lot of questions arose around the circumstances of, or more so his portrayal of the activity that was going on in the home. Now, as people know, me and myself, I'm within the paranormal community. I believe in spirits. I believe in ghosts. I believe there is an afterlife. I believe homes and people get possessed. I believe all of that, okay? I'm not a skeptic at all. There is a side of me that is skeptical about certain stories within the paranormal, and it's healthy to have that type of attitude and personality in anything in life, especially within the paranormal. So while watching this movie, I slowly started to release some of those walls that I had built up in regards to forming an opinion about this movie. And I do have to say at the end of this, of watching this whole thing, that there may be something in that home, only because of what I have deduced and what I had witnessed watching. Now, whether or not those actions and those experiences actually happened in the home, and those were not hoaxed or faked voices or images or anything like that, then I could say that there may be something in the home. Throughout the documentary, the story sort of unravels a bit. about the history of the home and the history of the land. And you get an understanding that obviously with any location, either it's a home or a building, commercial or residential, that if there are traumatic experiences or traumatic history that's gone on in a certain location, the energies in that place start to formulate energies of spirits, either made up spirits or the actual spirits of the people that actually died in that home. And we learn through Zak, throughout this documentary, that there were many deaths over the years. The home is situated in Gary, Indiana, which is the most, or that the highest, I believe, murder or homicide rate. I don't know if it's within the state or within the country. And so there are many deaths in this town, in this city. And specifically in this home, there were many deaths that had occurred. Some that were very oddly done, that there may have been some other sort of sinister type of feel to it, and others were, basic murders or basic suicides. So with that, you can naturally have a haunting. You can naturally have things that go on. I'm still to this day not sure whether or not Latoya Ammons, the resident who was renting the home at that time, I'm not sure if she experienced anything demonic. I hate to use the word demonic. It's so heavily used and prevalent that it's just thrown around like it's so cheaply made that everybody calls everything demonic when some little tiny bit of negativity happens. It's automatically demonic. And I think when you have heavily religious people who are not so much Bible thumping, but who, sort of are encompassed in their life around the Bible and around the teachings of God and of Jesus and of all of the stories that go on in the Bible. When you have somebody like that who is so engulfed in the religious activities or in the religious fellowship, that they tend to see things, if they are not perfect or if they are not sensible and good-natured, that if it's the opposite of that, it is automatic demonic. So I'm going to leave it at that, because I'm going to give commentary throughout this. Now, you're going to hear, hopefully, you're going to be able to hear the audio. And if you are still watching out there, let me know if you're not able to hear it, because I can raise the volume, I can move the microphone or whatever. Unfortunately, though, you're not going to be able to see it. But I'm going to go through the movie, and hopefully you'll be able to watch this at some point. Or maybe you have watched this movie already, and you're just listening and watching me to see whether or not you jive with my opinion, or if you disagree with anything that I say. I encourage talk and chat. I encourage people to get back with me on what they feel and what they think about this. And if you disagree, great. If you agree with me, great. So I'm going to go ahead and start this from the beginning. This is just the intro. The movie was done by Freestyle Digita Media. And so in the very beginning, though, and I can tell you this because the screen is up right now, it says the following documentary may not be suitable for all audiences. This film shows real people, places, and events involving alleged demonic possession. Demonologists believe that demons can catch themselves to you through other people, objects, and electronic devices. View at your own risk. There's also a warning that comes with this that Zak sort of communicates, that the film is
I'm Zak Bagans,
possessed.
Paranormal investigator. For the past 13 years, I've investigated over 1,000 hauntings. I have a series on the Travel Channel in the US called Ghost Adventures. I'm one of the world's leading researchers on ghosts and demonology. And this is the case that really fucked me up.
So obviously he's just introducing himself like he normally
The story
does.
was huge. It was the next Amityville. And I went all out. I had plenty of resources.
It shows him basically right now
thought I was gonna crush this story.
Walking through an old church,
But
abandoned
in the end,
church.
nothing was as it seemed. I fell ill and couldn't leave my room for 8 days. I didn't feel like myself. Crew members quit on the spot or had to get fired. Witnesses and experts ended up in the hospital. And at the heart of it all was a little screwed up house. It took me 3 years to finish this film. I had everything I needed. But the truth is, this film is cursed.
Like I said, he says this film is cursed. Now it's just showing the director, producer, and all of that stuff. I'm surprised it did take him 3 years to make this film. There's actually one particular point in this movie that I do want to talk about, because I had no idea that this had happened. And I know the two people that are involved in this movie, or were involved in this movie, that were shocked to know how involved they were, and is sort of questioning now the reasons why they died. If I could see my own face at that moment when I heard about this through the movie, it would be priceless.
In 2014, I had a nightmare where I'm a spirit hanging out with other spirits. And I show them this trick I can do, moving an object on a table without touching it. Like what I try to get spirits to do during my investigations. Then I'm suddenly in front of a door, and I can't control my body. And the door opens, and a 12-foot tall goat figure is standing there. And dark black smoke comes out of its mouth, and I'm forced to inhale it. When I woke up, my lungs hurt. And I knew this was some serious shit that meant something. A week later, a story about a demon possession in Gary, Indiana makes international news.
You know, look at one of the most documented cases of demon possession and exorcism in recent history.
While this news is breaking, I'm filming a show in California when I start getting calls about it. The next day, over the phone, I buy the house, sight unseen.
Now, Inside Edition with Deborah Norville.
That portal to hell house that we've been telling you about in Gary, Indiana, where so many eerie things are said to have happened, has just been sold. And what do you see who's moving in?
The new owner is Zak Bagans. What on earth were you thinking buying this house?
A week later...
So apparently what he just talked about was saying that he somehow got a premonition in a dream that this was going to be coming into his life. The dream about this 12-foot demon goat head that he saw in his dream that was breathing this black mist or whatever, smoke, into his face and ultimately into his lungs. You'll hear about this 12-foot goat thing throughout the entire documentary. And one in particular, which is going to be coming up pretty soon, and I'll talk about it. I'm not sure whether or not
I arrive with a film
there's a relevance there.
A woman named LaToya Ammons, along with her young children and her mother, are the family at the center of this haunting. Unfortunately, they've since moved out and some squatters have moved in. It takes some convincing to get them to leave.
Hello?
Hey Charles, it's Zach. Did you call?
The boyfriend should be getting there really soon. I told him it was seriously important. I talked to him about 2 minutes ago.
Okay, thanks Charles.
So what he's doing here now is he's trying to actually get into the home. He's bought the home. There's squatters in there. The previous landlord, he was just on the phone with now, saying that he was in contact with those squatters, and they were going to allow him to come into the home, which is kind of strange. It seems so very platonic and very friendly here. Meanwhile, he supposedly had bought this home, and he's got squatters in there, and he's being so friendly with them, and sort of allowing it all to unfold this way.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Fiance, man.
Oh, yeah. How are you?
How you doing?
I'm all right.
Man, you talk to my friends while I'm in here?
Your friends? Who's your friends?
Oh, man. I can tell you some shit.
This is my first steps right now inside the home.
The home is empty,
And,
completely empty.
Wow, this is it, huh?
Then psychic medium Chris Fleming sends me a text. He's heard I bought the house. He sends me a warning that I'll never forget. He tells me there's a 12-foot tall demon guardian, just like the one from my dream, at that house. And I better stay the hell away from it.
So Chris Fleming, I've known, I've investigated with myself, and what's a little difficult, it seems as though there's a little bit more of a hype in this, because he's showing the actual text message from Chris Fleming, and if you noticed, he said at that time he then received a text from Chris Fleming. Now, if you look at the text says 10:01 a.m. There, it's got to be somewhere around 9 or 10 o'clock at night, because it's very dark, and I don't know. It doesn't say a date of that text, so I don't know if it was at that time that he was in the home that he got this text. So it just seems as though he's trying to fit things together. It's nonsense. I know it's not news. It's not anything breaking. It's just throughout the whole movie, though, there's no consistency at all.
I should have taken his advice.
In how things flowed. Seems very choppy to me a little bit.
But I didn't.
I just got the keys to the demon house.
So I have the house, but I don't have LaToya Ammons and her family, who were allegedly possessed in the house. They've moved away to Indianapolis, so we go searching for them.
Well, this is it. This is what it all comes down to after numerous conversations with LaToya.
This is when they actually try and find the family that lived in there.
They want to talk and do an interview with me.
That brought this story to light in the news.
Phone calls, and they never did. So we were able to find their address. I have to go try and talk to them. We're in Indianapolis. LaToya did a news story like a year ago or something, and we were able to find this news story that wasn't related to her exorcisms about a mold problem here in these apartments, and you could see her.
Now, did you hear that? They're trying to find the woman LaToya Ammons, who owned the home, who brought this paranormal thing to light in the house, in the news, and they came across another video that they found of LaToya Ammons after they had left and moved into their current home right now, where the news came to the home, and we're talking about the tenants, which was LaToya Ammons, about black mold that was in the apartment. Now, right off the bat, when I did hear this, it sort of clicked to me that this woman, who people have said before has been trying to get out of paying rent whenever she rents a place, and has done this for years, and it seems as though she could be doing this again with this whole black mold thing, and utilized the previous home in which Zak bought as creating this paranormal activity type of thing to get out of paying rent. There are many vloggers and bloggers out there that have said this, and I had never known about this other video that she made at Indianapolis with another news organization talking about black mold, and I'm assuming I'm not sure if it's going to court with the landlord or what, but it just seems very fishy to me.
Standing there with the address on the right-hand side, and that's how we were able to be led here.
This whole story.
It's another walking up to the apartment where she lives now.
Moved into that old rental house in Gary, Indiana. They started hearing footsteps going up and down their basement stairs, saw shadowy figures in the living room, and flies swarmed their screened-in porch in the dead of winter. A local Catholic church told them their house was haunted by spirits, and a couple clairvoyants claimed that the house was home to 200 demons. Then it started affecting their young children more. They started having dark conversations about death with people who weren't there. A family doctor wrote it off as delusions. Then on April 27th, 2012, everything blew up. Now I'm outside their new home, 150 miles away, hoping they'll talk to me.
Someone in there.
They're just waiting now for someone to open the door and talk to
Is
them.
Latoya or Rosa here?
Yeah. How are you, Matt? We talked on the phone.
Hey, how you doing?
This is Zach.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I thought you looked for
Yeah.
TV. How you doing?
Good.
Pretty good.
I wanted to see if Latoya or Rosa would want to talk to us.
Okay. I'll see if they want to talk to you.
Okay. Yeah. See what happens. It's bullshit.
I knew it.
So they're now just finding out that she does not want to talk to them.
Kevin explains they won't speak to me because I've spent time in the house, and they fear things have attached themselves to me. Luckily, Kevin is willing to talk.
But we know that that's bullshit because we find out later that they're either in contract or there is a contract that is going to be drawn up for the rights to their story, which is going to go to Hollywood, and that's the reason why. So I'm not sure why, and you hear that you'll hear those words come out of the brother's mouth later on in the movie. So it just seems very strange that
What did you notice?
the conversations were chopped up and placed into this documentary very more to be biased about the story.
My nephew, it was really letting him have it. It was hurting him, things like that of that nature. Then, like when they came to see me and stay with me, those few days and nights, it was attacking them in my home. I heard it. I was upstairs in my bedroom and I heard, woo. They were all sitting in my living room and they started this little weird, evil little chant out of nowhere, and it started with my youngest nephew started. He stopped. My oldest nephew picked it up. He stopped. My niece picks it up.
Are you okay?
If you've ever watched Ghost Adventures, you know how they create the dramatic scenes. That's basically what's happening right now.
And then all of a sudden, my one nephew started attacking the other one. And then my niece just started attacking. They just kept attacking each other. And my nephew looks up at my mom and says, "Get your hands off me, you old bitch." I said that's enough. Get your fucking hands off.
Has they ever talked to your mom like that?
They would never do that.
Ever.
Ever. I had my oldest nephew, and she had him, and he looks at him, and he said, "Are you ready to go, my brother?" "Yes, yeah, my brother. I'm ready to go." All of a sudden, it just started grabbing one. My oldest nephew just slam him in the back, and he just kept throwing his kid. I don't know exactly why it chose my family. I don't know if it was...
Do you think it was in the house?
I'm thinking it's the presence that was in the house before they moved there.
Do you think it's dangerous for me to be in that house?
I wouldn't be there. No way I would be there.
After meeting with me, the Ammons won't let their brother back in their home because I've been inside the house and the spirits could have transferred over to him. Next, I tracked down Father Michael Maginot, the priest who performed multiple exorcisms on the Ammons family, to fill me in on the next part of the story.
They called 911.
They called 911.
They did.
Ambulances
So I
came.
give him
They took
props for
the boys
actually
to the emergency room.
When they got to the
going
hospital,
and
where
talking
there were still
to and
strange
interviewing
things being reported by the emergency room
pretty much
staff.
everybody that was involved
One boy
in this
very violent.
incident or news story or experience, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, what happened?
My granddaughter would get in her head and she could hear them talking in her head. It does to my daughter too.
This is Latoya's mom talking. It's a recording from another interview.
I can't look in her eyes. Don't look at them. So I'm watching her, then I'm watching the one on the bed. His head is doing this. His eyes are rolling around and he's talking in this crazy voice. I've been here long enough. I came to kill. I'm going to kill now. This is how he started talking.
What happens next is witnessed by hospital staff and Child Protective Services case manager, Valerie Washington.
So I have the intake officer's report, and this is by Valerie Washington, the family case manager, dated April 23rd, 2012. Okay. And this was Valerie Washington that did say, later that evening, he began to growl. He charged at the grandmother's stomach and head-butted her several times.
I said, that's not Andrew, Toya. And he whirled around on the footstool. And he had that evil smile on his face. And I walked up to him. I said, you're not my grandson. You're a demon. When he turned around, he turned backwards. He walked up the wall backwards.
So they're saying that the child, when he was in the hospital, walked up the wall backwards and came down. Apparently there were at least 2 witnesses for this. A psychologist and a caseworker.
Facing the wall this way and went up the wall and came back around and stood back in front of us.
What did you do when that happened?
I left the room. She walked out. I saw her.
How was that?
So there's the CPS worker right there admitting to the police that's filming this that she did witness this boy walking backwards up the wall.
Who else was in the room when that happened?
The psychologist.
The psychologist was there
He was
too?
there. He had just examined
Okay. What did the psychologist say?
He left the room too. So wait. Okay. You haven't been here since the last time. I haven't been here since the day after he came.
This home video was shot by police doing a wellness check on the Ammons 1 week after the incident at the hospital. This is the first time the Ammons have been back to their home since then.
Is everything pretty much intact when you guys left it? Yeah. Okay. So this is, whose room is this? Oh, so you had the front room. Nice.
One of the officers that was there that day was Captain Charles Austin, who had been there a month earlier on a Child Protective Services call.
Why did you come here in March 2012?
I'm the watch commander for the police department. One of the sergeants stated that he was dispatched to this location to assist Child Protective Service in removing 2 or 3 children who had not been attending school. Upon walking in, he saw several crucifixes, candles which had been burnt, and Bibles. And he stated that he had an eerie feeling with inside the residence. In my 37 years of police investigation, I've never run into anything like that before. So we stayed up here for approximately 45 minutes, and I was in disbelief.
What time do the things in this house usually start? You said in the evening?
Yeah, I have a special time.
So I'm saying, yeah, okay, right. This is really occurring.
The officers then went down into the basement.
And it was a table with a crucifix, a Bible, and a candle which had been lit. We stayed down here for about 15 minutes. And he was videotaping, I was taking my iPhone, and I was taking pictures and whatever. And I said, it's time for me to leave. I've had enough. I immediately started walking. And as I walked, I say, that's weird. I don't know that much about construction, but why would somebody concrete a whole basement and leave dirt under the stairs? I say, that don't make sense. And as I looked closer, I saw a foil pan with a candle. Don't make sense.
He was saying that there's a foil pan and a candle
At this stage of the police
underneath the
investigation,
stairs.
what Captain Austin perceives as odd may be something much graver. Is it possible
Which
that
is kind of
this discovery is
strange.
the remnants of a ritual? One capable of conjuring something terrifying?
Then, in fact, things start occurring.
What do you mean things? What kind of things?
We noticed when we went in the basement, there's actually two doors. The one on the left that actually goes to the room. At various times we were in the basement, it was in a different position, and neither one of us had went into the room.
I had an audio recording that I was
I mean, that doesn't make sense. I'm not sure how the structure of a door can move.
There was an unusual, unidentifiable voice that appeared on that audio. Oh, they're burning stuff all over the place here.
That's where.
Here's an EVP.
I'm surprised the fire department hasn't been here. It sounds like haze.
Right after the camera, you hear the camera slap.
I'm surprised.
Did you
Seems to
hear
be
that
hay.
with your own ears?
When that happened that day, I did not hear any voice.
I'm not sure
I only
about
heard it
that
on the
because that could be the after effects of the sound of the camera. And plus, the gentleman spoke right after that happened, so...
Squad car, and I drove approximately a mile and a half away.
Are you pulled over now?
All right, I'm in a gas station parking lot. And all of a sudden, the AM, FM radio in my car changed and went to static. And it said, who in there?
The home's previous owner told me that other police officers had experienced things in the house that had caused them to quit their jobs and move away from the area.
I had come to the conclusion, because of everything that had transpired and all the things that I had witnessed and heard about, that it affected women and children physically, and the stronger being men electronically. We set up another meeting to come to this house.
Who did?
Myself, the other officers, Child Protective Services.
The same CPS worker from before?
No.
Who?
She wouldn't come back.
Why?
She was terrified. Something was coming from underneath those stairs that was causing the whole house to turn.
Meanwhile, they're standing in the basement of this house while they're talking about it.
In light of these developments, Reverend Maginot gets approval to perform a minor rite on the mother, Latoya Ammons.
You basically want to try to either aggravate the demon or abate it. But if it's consistent, okay, you're not really affecting the demon, and you may be endangering the person. Behold the cross of
Which
the
is
Lord.
true.
Flee bands of enemy. May you be snatched away and driven from the church of God and from the souls redeemed by the precious blood of the divine Lamb. I saw she had an aversion to holy objects. I put the crucifix on her head. She began convulsing. I took it off. She stopped convulsing. And then I did it a second time. Again, watching, consistent, and did it a third time.
Father Maginot sat on the couch with a Bible, some holy water, and some salt. And he was reading the Bible. He was just intense. He was really reading.
While Reverend Maginot tends to Latoya, the three police officers who are present begin digging in the basement, under the stairs.
We were digging whatever. He had dug about 4 feet.
The officer?
Right. And he found a nail, a fingernail, a clip-on nail. I think it was pink in color.
A nail.
Right. A fingernail, a clip-on nail. And he found some panties.
Panties?
Women's panties. Women's underwear.
Also dug up that day, a comb, 2 children's socks, a heavy bar, and a red tin. So who buried these objects under the stairs? And why?
Do you believe that that house was haunted before LaToya and her family moved in?
If those items were there from that original family, it could be. Now, I think it would be what you would call necromancy, which is trying to communicate with the dead.
We only assumed, because we had no expertise, that this was a portal to hell.
Upstairs, something begins to happen in the center bedroom.
We went in the center bedroom on the first floor, and the blinds were dripping oil. And Zach, they weren't dripping from the top as you would expect. They were dripping from the middle of the blinds.
There was some liquid material that had appeared on some blinds in there, and we had no source for that material.
We left the room. First, we photographed it and documented it, and then I wiped down the blinds. And then we sealed the room, and I thought, if the grandmother had went in there and introduced the oil, I wanted to make sure that she didn't go in the second time. So we stuck a Q-tip in the door, at the bottom of the door, and then we came back about 40 minutes later after Father Maginot had blessed the house, and the Q-tip was still in the door. We went in, and the blinds were dripping oil again. Lieutenant Grushka actually went outside, and we were shining.
Kind of strange. I don't know why there would be oil dripping
from the outside or
from
the ceiling, and we couldn't
window
ever determine
blinds.
the source, Zach.
This CPS worker would be the next to fall victim to the malevolent energy in this home.
The CPS opened the cabinet, and she took her left hand, I remember, she may be left, and she touched the dripping.
The fluid.
The fluid.
That you've been seeing.
Right. And when she touched the fluid, her whole half of her hand changed, like all the blood had been drawn out of it.
It went white.
White. It was just completely white. And she had to leave the house.
Now they're showing a picture of the woman's hand.
She had complained of pain in that, and
To me, it's not white. I mean, she's a white
I went on the
woman,
investigation, like I said at the very beginning, thinking that it was
but it doesn't look like
the more investigation we
they're
did,
hyping
I
it up
believe
today.
that there's something there. There's just too many people that I know who are truthful people that saw things, that some of them which I saw, to discount everything.
I was talking to the Child Protective Services worker. Her hand was starting to come back to life.
Okay.
And Father Maginot came to the front porch stairs outside, and he stood there, and he looked. I say, Father, what's wrong? And he looked exactly like the CPS worker's hand. He was flush as a sheet of paper. And it was like, I said, what's wrong? And he said, the blinds are dripping.
With so many unrelated people finding themselves entangled in this demonic web, Father Maginot is compelled to help the Ammons. Evidence in hand, he requests permission from Bishop Dale J. Melzick to conduct an official exorcism on LaToya Ammons. His request
I'm
is
surprised
granted immediately.
that they got this request for an exorcism to happen very quickly. Very surprised, because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of evidence for it.
Who has the power to consign you to hell?
LaToya would later recount, this was the moment she felt the spirit lift from her.
There are other people that I know that have stories that go on for months and
The
months,
stories I had heard about this haunting were compelling, but as I
and
began
still
my
are not allowed
investigation,
exorcism.
there was just one nagging question. Was the whole thing a hoax?
So now he's getting into the debunking part of this documentary.
In early 2014, I get a call from the producer of a very big horror film from a few years ago. He's threatening me because he wants the film rights to the Ammons story. Due to privacy laws, his identity is disguised here.
Don't bully me around. Do not call me and threaten me. Don't call me and tell me that Mr. is this bigwig attorney and I better listen to what he's saying. Because you're being documented right now by myself, listening to what appears to be threats. And I didn't want to go this route.
So Hollywood wants the rights, which means there's money in it for the major players, from the Ammons family to Father Maginot. And now the Ammons, who originated this story, won't talk to me. And they're apparently talking about a movie deal.
Oh, she won't. Okay. Are they doing something else with another movie producer? They are.
Charles Reed, the home's original landlord who I bought the house from, and who had owned it for roughly a decade, told local media that he was skeptical. I thought I heard it all. This was a new one to me.
So for 10 years, there's never been a story about any kind of paranormal activity going on in this home.
Originally told me they didn't experience anything there.
You know, this is...
Make you say a whole lot of stuff.
Do you think it's all about money?
Yeah. You want to know the truth? Yeah.
You do?
We're talking to the squatters right now.
And I refuse to entertain something that I'm not seeing. So it's like it's a lie. To me, I've been here for 2 years. Now I see here occasional creaks and this and that, but I'm thinking the house is just old.
Whether the claims are real or false, I like to find out whether they're real or false. I'm not here to fabricate none or sensationalize on anything. If people are making this up, I'm going to catch them.
Well, if I'm telling you, I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen any ghosts.
But as soon as I slipped her fiancé some money to leave, suddenly he had all kinds of crazy stories.
So this doesn't make sense. He's giving now the fiancé of this woman that just spoke money so she can leave and they can go into the home, and now all of a sudden he's got stories.
And if I was able to negotiate, man, I had.
But listen to this conversation.
Offering his peanuts, man. They came out here. Deborah Norwell, the other little lady, they was out there. The producer, man. Oh man, I can. When this first broke, Zach, you should have seen it, man. You just getting the ass end of it. You know, like I told them, and they by me not being on a lease, I was done. I couldn't do nothing.
Yeah, have you seen things in here? Have you seen ghosts in here?
I'm not gonna tell you that until we sit down and make an agreement. You know, it's a market for it, and I've seen the market with the people.
But your fiancé said that there's nothing in here.
But that's her story.
Inside Edition also wanted to talk to me, but instead I went to meet with the home's original owners. There I learned that other members of the Ammons family also took issue with the claims they were making.
Charles just got
So now the family members of the Ammons that live there are saying it's not true.
February 5th, 2014, it says, the grandmother of the possessed kids insists none of this went on.
Could this be the other grandmother? I don't know. I read that.
So LaToya Ammons, her mother, is the one that lived in the house that witnessed all that stuff and did all the interviews stating that she saw the kids being lifted up and tons of other stuff. So now LaToya Ammons' stepmother, which is a different woman, my children, LaToya's brothers and sisters are outraged. The stepmother
toss this up two ways. Either the family members are jealous and
my family hoped this would all blow over.
Don't want their family members, the Ammons, to make money off of this. Or two,
also a photo
it didn't happen at all.
Of a ghostly figure in one of the house's windows. But this was almost definitely faked using a cell phone app. On top of this, I had the house inspected, and the inspector found mold and other things that could have had a psychological effect on the residents.
So what does the house contain? Asbestos, black mold, everything?
Pretty much, but it's all, circulating in the air, like the black mold is up in the attic. So was probably carbon monoxide leaking out of the furnace, the water heater exhaust, and it goes up into the chimney, which goes up the level.
So you've got carbon monoxide that's leaking from all over in this building, which could possibly give you
dizzy or euphoric.
Yes.
And then you have to think about too if any of those elements would affect the human mind or the body to perceive those side effects as paranormal induced.
Of course.
Type euphoria and.
It's one of the things that you try and debunk first.
It's something to take.
If there are any gaseous or chemical leaks in the home.
Overblown case of mass hysteria, or that there was some other normal explanation that was now being turned into a money grab. But then, with my own investigation, shit got crazy.
So.
One day when we're filming at the house, a woman drives by.
Okay.
And says she used to live there in the 90s.
This part pisses me off, and I'll tell you why in a minute.
Did you used to live in here?
So a woman drove up to the home while he's there with her family, her 3 kids.
We stayed like 4-5 years. Okay. My mom moved here first, and then I moved in with her.
Which I'm not sure how she knew that he was there.
Going on in here?
Yes.
You guys have all heard about it? Has your mom been telling you about it?
It's on Facebook. I know exorcism have happened.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happened here. If the claims are true about the demons being in here, I just want to make sure it's okay for them to be in here. Because the other family did have 3 kids that also lived
Oh,
in
for
here.
real?
Yeah, except they were two boys and 1 girl.
What?
Mom, are you giving them permission to go inside?
Yeah, y'all just gotta be careful, because like I said, I ain't been here in a couple of years.
So I'm going to pause it right now for a second because this pisses me off with Zach. He's heard of all of the stories that have gone on in this home. He understands, and the reason why he bought this home most likely is because it is the biggest demonic thing. He even said it himself that this is similar or could be the new Amityville story. And here he is allowing this family, a mother and 3 kids, into the home after he's known about all of these stories and all of these experiences. That pisses me off because he who is and has been an investigator in the paranormal knows and understands that you do not bring children into places of this nature, let alone just a simple haunted home. Nothing close to anything that people are labeling as demonic. But here he is bringing them in. And I just have to say that I think he was coercing this to happen. Number one, how did this woman and family know that he was going to be there? And he acts as though they just drove up because he acts all surprised. Oh, you lived here before? I know that this was a phone call made prior to. This was an appointment made. This was a meeting to be done. This was part of the documentary to have this family come into this home and sort of create a reenactment or possibly create similar experiences that the Ammons family had, which he doesn't have access to. And so this is sort of like creating stand-ins for the actual people, and this is what he's doing. This is what pisses me off about this.
Yeah, my mama Taylor used to own this house.
You ready?
Yes, I am ready. Oh my God. This is my room. The skeleton key doors. These 3 skeletons.
Really?
The skeleton off the doors, the skeleton keys on the ancient doors.
Yeah. This was your room right here?
My baby was right here.
How old were you then?
I was 19.
Teenagers?
Yes, I was 19.
Yeah. What's it feel like to be back in here?
Oh my God, I'm shocked.
Yeah?
Mika, do you ever remember anything happening to you or your friends or your family that was strange?
Well, my friend Kanisha's like when we used to leave my friend Kanisha here, and when we would come back, she used to be like saying stuff like she heard noises,
Did she ever say what kind of noises?
like footsteps going.
She did hear people walking around.
That's the basement. I never went to the basement, so.
Did you never like to go in the basement? Do you want to go in the basement now?
Yeah, if you go first.
You okay? You good? Why did you never want to come down here? Did you just feel something bad down here?
I ain't come to the basement. This is my actually first time being in the basement. I never came to the basement. I promise. Danny? Kick me.
I didn't kick you.
Yes, you did. Don't kick me. You did. I'm gonna excuse my French. I'm sorry.
No, you say whatever. Say whatever you want.
The mother is claiming that somebody kicked her while they were walking in the
Reviewing
basement.
the video with greater brightness, you can see her leg buckle. But nobody kicked her.
I never came to the basement. I promise. Danny? Kick me.
I didn't kick you.
Yes, you did. Don't kick me.
Do you not like it down here?
No, I never really liked the basement.
No, why not?
Just didn't.
No.
My brother stayed in the basement.
So her brother apparently was living in the basement, and he was shot and killed there.
Is your mom okay?
I don't know. I guess she's scared. That's why she wanna leave.
Yeah.
She all creeped out. I want to do that little turn off the lights and then the green stuff so you can see and hear everything.
The night vision camera?
Yeah.
It's scarier than watching it on TV.
Please,
They can
stop.
get inside of you and stuff and do all kinds of weird stuff. They can make you sick, and that ain't fun. It's happened to me.
Who helped you? Like, get that stuff out
See,
of you?
you got impressionable kids like this in a house like this
Well,
that should not be.
Yeah, more or less investigating. That's what brought me here.
Like, is the demon still in the house or have they moved on?
I don't know. That's what I'm here to find out.
Will the ghost come to our house since she live here?
Are you worried about that?
Yep.
You are? A real worry?
Yeah, because I'm afraid.
Mika's microphone has just picked up a mysterious electronic voice phenomena. It sounds like, "Run, Latoya." Latoya,
It sounds like an
the name of the
EVP.
mother in the Ammons family.
I'm just not sure if it was the little girl, her daughter, in the background saying anything that could be interpreted as "Run, Latoya."
It's funny, her son was asking me with a serious look on his face if the ghosts were going to follow him home. I don't know what's wrong with this boy.
And then he just acts like
Cold. These demons.
After
he's questioning what's wrong with the boy as the boy is just standing there outside looking at the house.
living room. Moments later, something I can't explain overcomes me.
So here they're showing a video of Zak being aggressive to
This moment is only captured on the surveillance camera.
his cameraman. Sort of like pushing him and
Billy? Yeah. What in the fuck just happened?
Oh, you attacked Jay. You told him, get the fuck out. You said, get out, get out. And then you, like, rushed him.
You like basically slammed me against the wall.
Give me the keys. Come outside for a bit.
I don't want to.
I know you don't. You need to, though.
All right. Just hold on.
drive around for an hour. Then the man living next door calls me. He tells me there's someone on my porch trying to break in.
Are they turning into my house?
Yeah, go over there.
So apparently the neighborhood knew that he was going to be there, and therefore that answers the question why the old tenant probably reached out to him, or he reached out to the old tenant.
Slow down, Matt. Jeez. God. The police won't go near my house.
So, you think there's spooks in there?
What I've witnessed is yeah.
You got someone walking up the walls and stuff?
I saw the video that Chief Miller filmed.
You saw the video?
Yeah.
Never read the report? I ain't reading that. No. Hell no.
So now he's talking to the police outside the house, because apparently there was a call that somebody was breaking in.
If you want to wait, I'll take you guys in there.
No, I'm good. No, I'm good. I don't want to go in there.
And he's just showing how scared the police are.
Chief said he refuses to ever do it because stuff follows you.
Yes, that shit.
And I won't tell him that.
I don't even like standing out here close to this place, man.
It's a different kind of haunting. It's not just.
Man, you ain't fucking with me, right? You telling me the truth, real?
Yeah.
I don't. Tear that motherfucker down, man. Oh, seriously, man.
The cop is telling him to tear it down.
No, I don't need no leader.
We can get answers.
You tear that motherfucker down, and when you gonna let loose on him, I'll show him. What you think that thing's plugging?
The cop says, "What do you think that house is plugging up?" Talking about plugging up the portal to hell.
Case manager who quit and moved away.
Now you were in the video that was shot by Chief Brian Miller.
Yes. I'm getting ready to leave you guys. Okay. I got another case. Okay.
Do you still feel what you witnessed that day was beyond the capabilities of a 9-year-old?
She was there when the boy walked up the
I'm
wall.
positive in regards to that matter. Sometimes even thinking about it again, it kind of just throw me back into a series where I don't want to go back to. It's taken me a while to move past that. When he did walk up the wall before my eyes, he could not remember doing it 5 minutes afterwards, after he was questioned about it, after they asked him questions about it. Child couldn't remember. He looked at us like, what are we talking about? He didn't even understand the question that we were asking him. And the fact that myself and a psychiatrist witnessed this along with the family, we had no words to explain it because we didn't understand it either. And the child couldn't even explain it. He didn't even believe he did anything.
Do you believe that this family was possessed by these demons?
I believe that it was something going on there that was out of the realm of a normal living person. Something was going on. I can't even explain it at that house.
Have you sustained any emotional or mental trauma from what you witnessed?
Yes.
Is this a factor in you leaving here in Indiana?
It played into it because after that, a lot had changed as far as me trying to do my daily routine work. I worked as a child fatality worker. You know, I investigated children dying. I've seen children in various situations burned, beaten. But after that, it was just, it was traumatic. And I also talked with a psychiatrist in regards to that, and she stated also it was a very traumatic experience for me, and that I did need to go and seek some help. I have witnessed that anyone that has ever went to that home, the effects that they had after they continuously went to that home, the things that happened to them, I do not like talking about it because of it, to me, if you feed it as if you're scared, it will bother you.
So one of the caseworkers that were there had, after she visited the home, they're showing on the screen, she had broken ribs, third-degree burns from incidents that happened outside of the home, just talking about bad luck. A home inspector developed cancer, was choking, nearly fell, a tree fell on his car. So they're just talking about, I guess, curses or negativity that surrounded them when they left.
To perform the second exorcism on LaToya, he experienced what he describes as an attack while on a bike ride.
As I was driving through the neighborhood, anyone who looks up to me is staring at me with a puzzled look, like, what in the world is riding by, you know? And so that was happening all the way to the end of the path. And all of a sudden, I'm on the side of the path, thrown down. You know, how did that happen? Then I looked at my bicycle seat, and it was 45 degrees off.
They knew that the demon was trying to find out what would stop me from going forward.
So the priest that performed the first exorcism and the second exorcism was out riding his bike. And he was knocked off his bike, and he's saying that that's the demon's way of preventing him from performing the exorcism.
Okay. Captain Austin was also affected. Just 2 days after I interviewed him in the house, he found himself in the emergency room.
I exited the restaurant. I was in full uniform, and when I exited the restaurant, I had the dentist in my right hand. I was walking towards my squad car. I walked down the sidewalk, and as I walked down the sidewalk, both feet slid on the ice and went up about 3 feet in the air. I did a somersault and fell on my head. I was unconscious for approximately a minute, and I was bleeding from my head.
So now they're saying that he was cursed because he slipped on ice.
They transported me to Methodist North Lake Hospital.
Captain Austin would also end up being shot during a home invasion, but he survived.
But he was a cop.
As I make my way back to the hotel, I receive a phone call.
I'm not sure how you
from a
make the
distressed
connection between
Mika.
the two. It's kind of a far stretch.
Something is terribly wrong.
I was at my daughter's pageant. I don't know. My mama came back and they've been trying to call me. I just came in the house today.
When did this happen? Just now?
I'm waiting on the police to come.
Will you call us back after the police leave?
Yes,
On February 20th, 2014, just 2 days after visiting us at my house, Mika's daughter attempted suicide by overdosing on medication and stabbing herself.
The kids that entered the home that I just talked about before, apparently the girl tried to kill herself.
After this incident, one of my crew members quits immediately.
I wonder if he quit because Zak let the kids in the home or for other reasons. So now they're bringing the girl and the mother into the church, Father Maginot's church, who's the one that did the exorcism on the previous owner.
Since I got the phone call about Erica.
And they're going to perform an exorcism on her. I just think that this was staged.
Do you mind if I talk with her real quick?
Okay.
For like 5 minutes?
Okay.
Okay. Erica, do you want to...
Okay, and I'll get Bess. Do you remember going in that house? Remember when you went in with me and your mom like a month ago?
She's not answering.
Do you remember?
It's kind of strange. She just looks very strange here.
With me?
3 weeks. That's how long it's been since Erica spent time with me in the house.
Like, is the demon still in the house or have they moved on?
Do you remember a couple days later things that were going on with you and your mom?
Partially. That day was like in and out.
Okay. Do you remember what caused you to get angry?
That angry? No.
No?
No.
Okay. Did it feel like you? Or did it feel like just someone else out of nowhere?
Not when I threatened my mother.
Have you ever threatened her like that?
No.
Okay. What did you tell her?
That I was gonna kill her.
Okay. Okay. In her sleep? Okay. Do you remember hurting yourself that day?
Do you remember stabbing yourself?
No, no. She had holes in her, wrists. Her eyes were like red, and
How did she have holes in both her wrists?
in both her wrists, just like little cuts, like she had stabbed her wrist.
With a pen?
And my sister's the
In both
RN.
these sides?
Yes.
Okay.
My sister's
Like
the
where
RN.
Jesus would have been crucified.
Yes.
So he's bringing up stigmata and what the definition is. So my question here is, if this is happening 3 weeks, if the incident had just happened, the little girl would have marks on her wrists still if there were stab wounds or whatever, as well as on her stomach. She was stabbing herself. I'm wondering why he never chose to show any of that, because if it happened, to me, that's not just, great evidence, but it's also great content for this movie, which I know Zach would have added in. None of it was shown, which is very strange as to why. Because apparently they're trying to give an exorcism to her soon after this incident.
She wasn't.
She was not Erica.
Now they're just showing the priest getting everything together, the salt, the holy water, and
surrounds a young
the
girl
book.
or woman. When life is void to her, the influence whispers that it is her own fault, and that she is worthless and should commit suicide. Dear sister, do not believe it. Satan was a liar from the beginning.
So now it's just showing them entering into the church and sitting down at the pews. And Father Maginot is getting ready to do his exorcism.
O water creature of God, I exorcise you in the name of God, the Father Almighty, in the name of Jesus Christ, his Son, our Lord.
My daughter was screaming at me. We're talking about, I can't stand you, I can't stand you.
Is this typical of your daughter's behavior?
No. I mean, it was
You've
strange.
never seen the rage like this before?
No,
Ever?
it was strange. It was like everybody was trying to calm her down, and she was just snapping off.
Look down in pity on this your servant Erica, now in the toils of the unclean spirit, now caught up in the fearsome threats of man's ancient enemy, sworn full of our race.
Another weird thing that happened when we was at the hospital, and I'm not making this up on everything I love. My daughter was laying in the bed down where Erica got up. There was a 6, engraved in our back. So my daughter was like,
what?
A 6, like a number 6.
Was engraved in whose back?
It was in Erica's back. Mommy, Erica got a 6 on her back.
Do you remember seeing this 6 that was carved in her back?
She was being all calm and weird.
Again,
how was she being weird?
Where is
Because it
this
wasn't her. Or like it was
photo?
somebody else in her stomach or something.
Do you know how this 6 got carved in her?
It was a number 6.
And nobody took a photo.
God, creator and defender of the human race, who made man in your own image, look down in pity on this your servant Erica, now in the toils of...
Now they're showing her, the girl bent over.
So it seemed like that might have been...
She did this thrust with her body.
The moment that it might have left her.
Okay.
So it seemed like it. She is, so I don't know if that's what she does. She doesn't remember that.
After news of Erica's attempted suicide hit the media, my dear friend, Debbie Constantino, who'd been on my show numerous times with her husband Mark,
This is the part I did not
headlines and
know.
began to try to make contact with the demon remotely. After her attempt, she called me and told me that she believed they had made contact with the demon at the house. The voice she captured is deep and difficult to understand. almost sounds like it's saying something's wrong. Tragically, just a few months after this recording was made, Debbie and her roommate were murdered in a double murder-suicide at the hands of her husband. This hit me hard. I couldn't accept it. I felt like I'd lost a member of my family.
Getting chills when he's talking about this, because I knew them, and
I believe that certain environments can make demonic...
I'm going to pause it here for a second. I knew Mark and Debbie Constantino, and I did not know that they were involved in remotely trying to get in touch with any of these spirits, because they were never in the home. They were in their own home in Las Vegas or in Nevada, and I guess what Zach is trying to allude to here is that because of their involvement in this case and trying to contact the spirits, that possibly something negative attached to them through this, form of EVP type of session or communication, and therefore may have died because of that. Maybe her husband is the one that had the demon enter into him and then killed everybody, including himself. So I was shocked to hear that actually they both were involved in this, and
activity more likely.
Not happy that
high crime rates,
they were doing that.
Murders can all contribute. Gary, Indiana unfortunately fits the bill, with over a third of its population living below the poverty line and one of the highest murder rates in the country.
You guys ever heard gunshots around your neighborhood, around your house?
Yes. We live down there.
Do you know where the house is, where the drive-by was?
Yes, it's like right. That greenhouse right there.
A lot of the elderly are getting robbed here and houses.
I'm just going to fast forward a bit.
We need to bring jobs back. We need to get the schools.
Here's
the frequency counter here.
Just talking with Dr. Barry Taft, who was involved in the biggest case, one of the biggest cases, called The Entity.
Fields throughout the whole house, higher than I would want, but it wasn't that bad. Then we come to this.
Dr. Taft, what is the geomagnetometer? What are we going to measure for here? Are these natural geomagnetic levels?
It measures the Earth's magnetic field from Earth.
Okay. So this, we're not looking so much as the house.
Right.
But what's under the house in the ground.
Right, and coming up front.
Right.
High levels of geomagnetic energy could trick the brain into thinking there was paranormal activity when there wasn't any.
This is very normal. You're getting 5, early, low 500. This is what I would expect. You start getting over 600, 700, then you have a problem because it means something's creating this low frequency magnetic field. And what is it?
What are your readings?
Normal. Everything's normal here. Took out the 60 hertz calibrated tri-field meter. Then, a few feet away from the wall, about halfway up my body, I started seeing like a 1 hertz oscillation. Look.
Yeah.
Why is it spiking here like this?
Why is it doing that?
I don't know. Look.
So they're using he's using a tri-field meter.
We tested the walls.
Which measures electromagnetic energy.
Why is it?
I don't know.
Which is naturally given off by the Earth.
That's weird.
But when you have fluctuations in this,
so it's transient. And
when he's talking about transient, which
transient nature. It's not against the wall.
Which means it's not natural. It's not normal for it to do that way.
Forward, a couple feet in the middle of the room, half my height up, and it's
awesome.
Pulsing.
Whoa. I'm getting hang on.
Yeah, let's trim. What's the matter?
Ooh.
So Zach is having an experience right now. He seems to get a lot of these, which
Then shortly after is when I felt the pain in my temples.
Rush of energy, yeah.
And then I had to leave that room. And when I left that room, I started getting emotional a second time. Like I was just gonna cry, and then I would get aggressive. My eyes begin hurting for no reason. And I don't realize it's a warning sign for what's to come. That's what happens. It comes in and it'll hit.
Slap your hand together like that again. Just as you did that, we got a spike on the instrument.
That's what happens. It comes in and it'll hit me. Why would that happen?
Your body's in some way it's in some way affecting the electromagnetic field here. Your body is a capacitor. It's being charged up by this environment, and you discharged it.
Whoa, getting crazy interference in here.
Let me see if I'm getting it off him then. Oh, try and get back. Something.
You get real aggravated.
Look. It's magnetic, but we didn't get that before, did we?
No.
20 milligauss coming off you. That's a little high. Why would your body be emitting? Now remember, biomagnetic fields are really weak. You shouldn't be able. You need a superconducting sensor.
And what was I giving off? 20 milligauss?
About maybe 8 to 12 million times normal.
What?
8 to 12 million times normal.
8
to 12 million. The average human body's magnetic field we generate is measured in millions of a Gauss. It's a 1 hertz. Look at it. It's like not a 1 hertz. Look, you see that? Wow. Interesting. And yet, to move away from here to see if the space is affected. It stopped moving because he moved.
All of a sudden, something causes me to lunge at Dr. Taff, and as I force myself to walk away, realizing I may attack him, my cameraman captures the device spiking again at the same exact time as my hostile movement. That thing just spiked when I did that. I get it. This is too much. What happened?
Now, Dr. Taff is saying that he heard a dog barking.
A what?
A dog. Is there a dog?
No, there's no dogs.
Then I just heard it growl. You heard it here twice, or like a rare. Oh, from over there. Well, so it's a dog.
Where did you hear it?
Come from over here or over here? Just by here. Oh, look. Oh. I thought, no, there's a dog.
I heard dogs barking. I'm like, Toya, did you hear that? She said, huh? Did you hear them dogs? She said, I heard them. And she went right back to sleep. I'm like, no, wake up. I heard dogs. We have no animals.
Something starts to happen to Dr. Taff after he and my camera operator hear the growl. And now I'm noticing a pattern of how people act when the house is starting to have an effect on them.
Whatever you want on that.
What's wrong? They appear lost in thought and confused.
Which is another natural occurrence. When it seems like a spirit is either trying to forcefully communicate with you on another level,
Do you want to get out of here for a minute? Are you okay?
or possibly even enter you become very distant.
No, I need something to drink, like water.
You become very quiet, sort of zone out.
Yeah. I'm not feeling dizzy here.
I'm noticing that you keep shutting your eyes and
Yeah, because
swaying.
I feel like I'm going to fall backwards. I feel like I'm going to pass out. Let me see if I move.
You okay? As we head upstairs, I go outside to clear my mind from the house. And at that time, I don't notice Dr. Taff becoming affected again. Weeks after this investigation, we discover something disturbing captured on this camera while he walks in a state of confusion towards the back hallway.
So they're showing a video of the cameraman as he's panning around in the hallway. Apparently some sort of shadow
The
thing.
black anomaly appears in 7 frames, shooting at 24 frames per second. 1, 2, 3.
It seems
4,
to feel as though,
5,
yes, it's on the wall,
6, 7.
but then you see the shadow come from the side of the doorway,
Speed,
and it seems to be
the anomaly
in the
manifests
air.
in a fraction of a second. As Dr. Taff walks back, he places his hand in the exact spot where the black mass just manifested off the wall. At which time he immediately becomes affected again.
Oh, it's really bad in there. That same sense of nausea and like you're gonna throw up. Reverse peristaltic action, very strong in there.
I do have to say it is a very strange
I take the
video.
footage to Ed Wybe, who was a video engineer for NASA for 32 years.
Really increased the luminosity just a little bit, just to see some of the other detail in the object. Prior to that, we can see that it's different intensities. There's not the same intensity. So say it was we thought it was a hand or something like that from someone else, from say the cameraman perhaps, his hand wouldn't be broken up in different intensities. It would all be one hand. I'm 100% sure that it is not the cameraman.
And then they also show this
You got the regular shadow of the cameraman back here. It's like a gray.
the
very
surveillance
light gray.
shot of the
But then,
cameraman.
as the anomaly's happening, there's this real dark band of shadow all down in here.
Which you see the shadow, the natural
We
shadow.
don't see it retract back into the wall. It's quite possible it could have entered the cameraman. I don't know if that cameraman had any problems after this.
But it does look like the cameraman is blocking wherever that thing moved.
Did have problems.
And if it is real, it could have went into the cameraman.
He then begins acting very strange.
Now this is where everything gets a little bit strange. The cameraman is acting funny now. They're showing him, this must be like on break or whatever, and they're just in the room.
Sees him wander off into the basement alone.
And you see him sneakily, that's a word, walk down into the basement area. No camera, no nothing. These are the surveillance shots that you see of him going down there. And he goes down into the basement, goes into the back room, and lies down. Apparently that's where Mika, who is an old tenant, you know, the woman and the 3 kids that came, where her brother was murdered.
Later, we find the cameraman, Adam, lying on his back in the back bedroom where Mika's murdered brother lived. As we return to the hotel,
This is where it gets strange.
Cameraman, Adam, starts vomiting blood in my bathroom. He then leaves my room and begins screaming my name in a strange voice. We start rolling with our cameras.
What's wrong? Where did he go?
So they're in the hallway of the hotel right now.
Film.
Apparently the cameraman was getting into the elevator and arguing. And going back into his room. Coming out of his room, going back to the elevator and arguing. So now Zach and the crew are standing outside the guy's hotel room, trying to listen in to see if they hear him, because they can hear it talking.
I want to hear the house music.
Whatever is affecting
That's the
him,
cameraman yelling.
taunting it to do more.
He's running into the elevator and just screaming. They all look freaked out.
Dude, what's wrong? I want to get to the house, man. Fuck that. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit.
What's
Not just going on. Fuck you like that. Fuck that.
What's in the elevator?
Nothing. Nothing. It's a bitch. If there's anything here, it's a bitch.
He keeps going back to the
What
elevator.
is wrong with him? Have you ever seen him like that before, Jay? No, never. How long have you known him? Years. Right. What's up? Doors open. That's the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like,
They're still in the hallway.
what are you doing? What's wrong? Crazy. Get back.
He's on the elevator. Elevator's not going anywhere, and the door is closed, and everybody's in the hallway. And now they're all going back into Zak's hotel room.
At this same moment, 2 floors
With
above
that
us,
cameraman.
Dr. Taff is also experiencing something strange.
Got back to the hotel and a strange sense of anxiety, irritability. I'm sleeping and suddenly, not in the room, in my left ear, I hear like really loud bell. Blood jump out of bed. What was that? I suddenly fell over and I wake up and I'm on the ground.
When Dr. Taff gets up, he realizes he has blood in both of his ears. Meanwhile, back in the room with Adam.
What's happening? What do you feel? Like you were fine in here?
Just all of a sudden, like, felt like something was stabbing me in my stomach. I was throwing up blood. Went out to the elevator. Pressed the button.
Do you think that shit's making you puke and all that?
No, I don't. Just, you guys, can you just cut the cameras, man? Seriously. Fucking... little shit like that, it's not gonna fucking...
I think I see how this thing works, though. It's trying to draw you in, piss you off, and like that's been happening the whole time we come here. There's like these little pokes at us, like these little things.
Alright,
like it
so like
fucks with us,
honestly,
you know?
between all of us, like, why the fuck would it fuck with me?
God, dude, I thought you saw a dead body in a fucking nowhere. Oh, I thought I was gonna open that up
There
to
was
see
a
it
face.
mutilated. What'd you see?
There was a face.
Could you get any details or anything?
I think you know what I saw, bro.
I had never told my crew or anyone else about the nightmare I had a week before I bought the house.
Remember the
where I saw
12-foot goat
face of a
face
goat
man?
exhaling black smoke into my mouth.
Like, I shouldn't be really amped up right now. I need to calm down, I'm sorry.
Scared the shit out of me.
That scared the fucking shit. I'm not gonna lie to you right now. That fucking door opened and that fucking girl man was standing there. Like, for a second behind me, I fucking screamed like a little girl. Did you hear me call for Zach? Like,
I was like, fuck, dude, this
it
guy.
doesn't, it doesn't want me. It wants him? Yeah, it wants you. That shit scared me like, it wasn't just...
So, Zach is in this room talking with this guy, Adam, who's going through this, says he sees this goat-faced man in the elevator. Why didn't Zach at that moment say to him, holy shit, I actually had a dream of that, which caused me then to buy the home that we're investigating? But none of that happens.
Just like...
Which to me is, again, kind of strange.
The first thing that I thought was, this is real. Because I have to be honest, like, up until that moment right there, I didn't believe any of this, like, 100%. There's something, like, touching my hand right now.
What's it feel like?
It's cold. You got
Grab that meter over there.
So now Adam is saying that his hand, as he's talking to them right now in the hotel room, it's getting cold.
Whoa. He has a field around him. Come over here. I felt it on my arm.
You're a fucking bitch. Do something better than that. Do something better than that, you fucking bitch.
Feel around him. That just made my arm hair fucking stand up.
Do something better than that.
I'm sorry.
These arm hairs crawled up, like backed up off of him, like I was
You're
just
fucking.
like a towel out of the dryer. It's all staticky.
So now they're saying that
Find you.
because the camera is sort of down below, that he's staring at Zak Bagans and saying, "You're a fucking bitch. You're a fucking bitch." Supposedly, this is this demon.
A short time after returning home, Dr. Taft's organs begin to shut down one by one. Being in overall good health, the doctors cannot explain the cause of this.
Okay, so they
That was
started
shocking to hear.
My organs are shutting down and failing. All my organs started shutting down. My prostate, massive infection. My kidneys, my liver, my bladder was infected. My whole body was failing.
And they're talking to him while he's in the hospital right
It
now.
was collectively, it wasn't like a little here, boom, 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 boom. It's like a cascade. This, boom, 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 poof. I felt nauseous and dizzy and went back to the hotel later on and I fell. And then I passed out and I started to shake really bad. And that's atypical. Did you ever go back to the house? No. I said, a man who hired me went back and he got sick. A cameraman was there and he got really sick and I saw it right in front of me and he got sicker than I did. What? Started shaking, nauseous, kept throwing up. It's all happening. See, the problem is it's all happening at the same time. That's what makes it weird. So, the problem is why are my organs all starting to shut down simultaneously? This place might have had a
Which is
more
kinda strange.
dynamic and dramatic effect on me, but in a way I didn't understand until it all slammed me together. If my theory is correct that my body shutting down is the result of being in the demon house just for several hours, that's long-term effects. I was only there a few hours. If I'd stayed there overnight, given what's going on with me now, I'd probably be dead by now. Who knows what's going on there? It might, beside the paranormal phenomena, there may be other elements that are tied into it to explain this in ways we don't yet understand. And what happened with you at the house, what happened with the cameraman at the house, this is this tip of the iceberg. So this may provide incredible new definition for what's going on in these cases. This is a life-changing experience because I never thought this would happen to me.
After the night of Adam's meltdown, his behavior continues to be disturbing. The very next day, he tells me to go into the bathroom of the house, to smash the mirror, and to slit my throat with the broken glass. He's no longer himself, and after a couple days of this, I have no choice but to remove him from my crew. Jay, my other camera guy, tries to get Adam some help, but he refuses.
So this is sort of coming to the end
With
now,
the effects
where
of the house seeming to take down members of my crew now,
whereas
I
Zak
decide
has
to
now
accelerate the situation
instructed
by boarding myself
the
up
crew
in the house,
to
sealed
board up all of the
alone
windows and the
overnight,
doors.
and let whatever may be haunting it take its best shot.
He actually hired
I know this
furniture
sounds
stagers to
stupid,
bring furniture into
but
the home
investigator inside
to make
of
it feel
me
as though it's a
wants to
home.
experience it.
And this is where he is going to investigate the house by himself, board it up, and sort of
I want to seal myself inside here.
sealed in there.
I'm gonna start in about 15 minutes.
By yourself?
Yeah. The last piece of plywood goes on that front door. And that last piece of plywood is gonna get screwed in with me inside.
But if something goes on that you cannot control, you're going to contact me so that I can contact the fire department to bust in the door. Is that a problem?
No.
Okay, all right.
That's fine.
Good luck.
So he's going into the home, and now they're screwing the last of the board over the door. So he walks into the place, the home, And it's staged with some chairs, a television, a bureau, an end table, some lamps. They've got a bed in there they've made. So there's surveillance cameras that they've got going on. Oh, and of course he's got a doll on the dresser. So they've got these surveillance cameras that are in pretty much every room in every area, including the basement. They've got some crosses on in the basement. And so now he's just situating himself. They're just showing him walking around, taking his coat off. You'll hear in a little bit that he's refusing to shut off the lights. He's too afraid. As we all know, he's always too afraid. He always sends Aaron into things or into rooms and locations like this by himself, but he never goes. And so he seems to be too afraid to be into this place pitch black or, with no lights on.
I have phone my crew so I can talk to them, text them.
He's just showing that what you're seeing now is basically he's just showing inside the house all the doors boarded up, the windows are boarded up. Okay, we believe you.
Feeling, just knowing that you're completely sealed inside a house, let alone this house. And I'm really afraid to turn that light out. That's like my safety chain right there, that light.
You board yourself up, but shutting the light off is too scary for you? It's kind of weird. So I assume his crew is outside in the van watching their surveillance cameras. They don't actually show that. So you don't know if they are there, actually. Oh, he turns off the light. He's just panning around, walking around the place. He's going into the kitchen, where in the kitchen is the door that then leads to the basement. He seems very hesitant to walk down the stairs. Went down a couple of steps and stopped. Another couple of steps and stopped. Now it's 12:47 a.m. It was 8 o'clock before when he was talking. Now it's 12:47 a.m. You heard that? It's like a female voice. So Zach has run now.
I heard a female voice.
He's run out of the room.
Kitchen.
They're saying that it's saying, "That's my baby." Now, outside, it's snowing. Looks like there's probably about, 6 inches already on the ground. Nobody's out walking. So that's not anybody walking by and making that, or talking, to be able to be heard. Now he's in one of the bedrooms, and he's panning the camera outside the door of the bedroom. You're going to hear a noise. So there was some knocking there. And then something. Something really weird happens. Sound. It sounds like a creaking. Or some badass animal.
Get away from me. Get away.
He's frightened on the bed. Camera is just sitting there on the bed. He's not holding it. So you can't really see.
Back the fuck up.
Supposedly you see this shadow now that goes across, and he throws something at it. So now he's saying, after that incident of this, he goes a little crazy and says that he's got pain in his eyes. Excruciating pain, it says.
The following day, my eyes begin to cross, resulting in double vision. I develop a serious eye condition called diplopia. After multiple neurological tests conducted in Las Vegas and California, doctors are unable to determine the cause for this sudden affliction. I am now forced to wear prism glasses, as my condition is now permanent. Corrective surgery done in both my eyes runs the risk of total blindness.
So apparently now he has a condition for life with his eyes permanently crossed. Or double vision, whatever.
Shortly after his interview, Kevin Ammons was kicked out of his family's apartment. They claim something dark transferred from me to him.
They're showing you pieces now, footage of the demolition crew that's going to come and knock down the house.
To speak with me or about the house. It appears that the time he spent in the house is still having an effect on him. He even got the numbers 666 tattooed on both his hands.
That's
the same place he'd felt the dark energy touch him in the hotel room.
That's the camera guy that went crazy. So now he's going through all of the people that were involved. And what were the after effects?
Dr. Barry Taft continues to have health problems. Doctors are still searching for the cause of his mysterious organ failure.
That's sad about Dr. Barry Taft.
I'm reminded
He's a good guy.
of the toll the house has taken on nearly everyone who's visited there. Valerie Washington moving away and seeking therapy. The other CPS case manager who suffered motorcycle burns and a broken hand, ankles, and ribs shortly after being in the house. The home inspector who was diagnosed with cancer. Father Mike's bike accident. Captain Austin's fall and rush to the ER. Erica's suicide attempt, Adam's meltdown and the aftermath in his life. Even Chief Miller claimed that something may have followed him home from the house one night.
Something came back with him. I don't know if it was that demon, but something came, and I don't want it back.
And finally, the permanent damage to my eyes. So I decide it's time for the house to go away.
So now it's just showing you the house being demolished and pretty much over right now. I really don't know how to take this movie or documentary. I know the history with Zak, and not that I'm going to say he fakes anything or does any hoaxes or anything like that. I think the one thing, though, that he does is exaggerate.
Most of the house was hauled away to be buried in a landfill.
I forgot to mention this, too, so...
I wanted to make sure the house never harmed anyone else again.
And they're showing him going to a storage locker
As an
unit right now.
investigator and a collector, I couldn't just let it all go.
Of course not. So he's kept pieces of the place. He's kept crucifixes that were in there, some furniture, the stairs. He's even put the dirt that was underneath the stairs in buckets. I'm assuming that this is a way, of course, obviously, to get... I think that's all he says here.
Like I said at the beginning, this story is cursed.
The story is cursed. So, like I said, it seems as though that he obviously is retaining a lot of the stuff to place in his museum to further amplify his income. Smart guy to be able to do that. Isaiah Mendoza, where did you get the movie? I got the movie from Amazon. It is on digital media as well as in theaters. I believe it's... I don't know if it's on Netflix or not. I just heard that it was on Amazon. I just quickly went on there and got it from there. They released it yesterday. So I went in there earlier today, actually viewed the movie, and bought it off Amazon and viewed it, and then felt as though that I wanted to come on here on YouTube and do a little bit of a review. Now, my overall opinion of the movie is, as I mentioned even before we've been watching this, it's in typical fashion of a regular episode of Ghost Adventures. It's shot the same way. You can tell that this has Zak Bagans' fingerprints all over it. It does not... it doesn't feel sort of like Hollywood hype. It is a typical Zak Bagans film. It's shot the same way and has the same type of reenactments, the eerie music, the sort of side up-angled shots of objects and windows and chairs and stuff like that. So it's not anything like you would normally see in a movie theater. But I don't know whether or not anything in this movie is true or truth. I don't know if... well, I do know, obviously his intentions for buying the home was to get a monopoly on this situation and on this story. And it's plain... You can plainly get that because a week after the news broke out about this 6 years ago or so, that a week after it broke out, he bought the house without even seeing it. So he wanted the story. He wanted to be able to be the guy who would be able to go into the home and investigate, which I give him props for. He brings in other people, especially children, into this home, which I was not happy about in the course of making this documentary, where supposedly they were affected by whatever was in there. But then at the end, decides to demolish it. That, to me, is a little suspicious because it seems as though that there's just no other way to either corroborate his story or the story or debunk it, because now there's no home. There's just land, and I'm assuming he owns that land still, so nobody else can build anything on top of it or be on the property. I don't have any photos, or I've not seen what the property looks like now, if it's, fenced in or whatever. But, obviously, most of the time, the actual structure of things, either it's buildings or homes or whatever, are not where the spirits lie. It's usually within the grounds, within the earth. That's the attraction of the magnetic attraction that is pulling or keeping the spirits there. But getting back to the movie, I think it was very interesting. Like I said, there's a lot of question marks. I am into the paranormal. I have had experiences. I have had first-hand experience with Zak and Nick and Aaron years ago. I know sort of, how they operate and how they work. I know Zak is sort of, a man of his own, or a man on his own. He wants to be the center of attention on everything, and that's one of the reasons why Nick had left. And after speaking with Nick, that's pretty much the story that was given. And this is sort of an illustration of him being in the center of everything. Now, I do feel bad that he did get this debilitating or sort of eye issue, whatever it is, that now will be with him for life. And, I feel bad for Dr. Barry Taff having these medical issues now, and the cameraman who went crazy and seems to sort of not be on the right path right now. But that's one of the things that, sort of gets under my skin a lot of times, is bringing people into locations that you fully well know, and you label yourself as it being demonic, that you bring other people in there. And I understand people are adults and that they take their own risks, but me and others who are in the paranormal, who understand the fact that, you don't know what you don't know what the other world can do. You don't know what are the consequences. You don't know how things operate. We guess, we estimate, how you talk to spirits and ghosts, or how how things happen, how do objects move. We guesstimate those answers, but we don't really know for sure. We have no clue. And so to take on that huge responsibility of bringing others into something that is just basically the unknown and could have really bad consequences. I just think that I would have liked to have seen Zak at least apologize for any of these things that happened to all the other people that he involved in this story. But I know that would never happen. In any case, I do think it's worth seeing. I think if you are in the paranormal field and you are an investigator, or as others like to be called, ghost hunters, if you are in this community, you probably most likely will enjoy this movie, this documentary. I think you will understand it. I think you will find that you have certain opinions about some of the things that go on in here, in this movie. I think that you will formulate your own. You probably may disagree with mine. Maybe 100% you'll disagree, or maybe 50% or 5%, whatever it may be. Everybody's entitled to it. I welcome everybody's opinion. Again, we're all here collectively to find answers. But if you're not in this field and you have not been around investigations, live investigations, actually at a place, more than once at least, that you may not understand. You probably may just debunk it just off of the nature that you just don't believe it, or that a lot of the things that go on in here may just go over your head, that it just may not, you may not be able to comprehend or understand it at all. which is no fault of your own at all. So it's sort of biased, this movie. It's sort of geared towards, the people within the paranormal. I think it's great entertainment for those that are what we call normal people, because I'm certainly not normal at all. But I think it's geared towards people like us who are in the know and who have had similar types of experiences. You'll find that many reviewers will hype up the movie because they are similar to Zak and in that world. And you'll probably find bloggers or vloggers and folks all over social media who are not in it at all sort of, put down the movie. I'm a 50-50. If it's 2 thumbs up, I wouldn't give it 2 thumbs up. I probably may give it 1 thumbs up. Technically, the movie is a little choppy. It does not flow very easily. He leaves pieces out of conversations and then reveals them later, which kind of don't make sense. I get what he's trying to get at, but going back and forth to scenes or conversations or interviews doesn't lead to capturing your audience or engulfing your audience. It actually puts them outside or away from the creative, the movie, the illustration, whatever it is, and creates the critic. It creates the person that is picking things, because now they're trying to work the magic that you as the director and you as the producer are supposed to do for the viewers themselves. So that's my little 2 cents, if it's worth anything. I'm going to leave it at that. If you guys are interested in watching it, like I said, I do recommend it. You can go online and go to Amazon.com. I know it's in, I don't know if it's in all movie theaters. It may just be in select movie theaters, and I'm not sure if it's in all the states yet. I'm not sure about the release on that. And just check your local listings, see if it is playing in your area. If not, you can always go online and rent it. I think it's like $6.99 to rent, and you get it for 30 days on Amazon.com, or it's $12 or $12.99 to actually buy the movie, so you can download it and have it for yourself and watch it whenever you want. So check it out. That's all I pretty much have for tonight. Like I said, I don't have any news for tonight, just reviewing this movie, Demon House by Zak Bagans. I hope you enjoyed this little review. If you have any questions at all, feel free to, and it's right up above over there, send an email to isitparanormal@mail.com. You can also find us on Twitter at isit_paranormal. And you can check us out here on YouTube, Paranormal News Network. We're trying to create a consistent stream. This is only, I think, episode 2. And we're trying to create something, either it be once a week. If we get enough viewers and subscribers, we're going to increase the frequency of how many times we are on YouTube. And every time we are on YouTube, pretty much it's going to be live. Also, on a regular episode of Paranormal News Network, I'm looking for any kind of reporter out there who is interested. You don't have to be a reporter. Anybody interested in the paranormal, anybody interested in reading up and researching articles and videos and audio or whatever, anything that has to do with the paranormal, I'd love to get your submissions, and which I will put on the air live. So if you want to, you can actually create a video of you reporting on a story. You can do it in your office, your living room, your bathroom, outside, and it's just a video of you presenting whatever the news is that you think is interesting that should be on here on the network, on Paranormal News Network. So I'm actually going to be putting out a video pretty soon in regards to sort of the concept of what we're looking for. Again, it doesn't have to be pretty. It's reporting. It's, on the fly. If you are at a location, if you had an experience that you want to share, if there's a story that you've seen online that you want to report on, report it yourself. I will play it on air, give you the full credit for it, give you any kind of promotion or highlight for your group or your business or whatever it is. It's a community that I want to involve everybody with. This is not, and I don't want it to be just me presenting the news. I want to be able to create this community for everyone, because news is important. Research is important for us within the paranormal. Knowing and understanding everything locally is great. Understanding and sharing a lot of things that happen nationwide or even global will help bring all of this information, all of the truth to everybody all at once. So that's what I'm looking for, and that's what I hope that that we can get and actually try and create. So thank you all for joining me tonight. And like I said, if you have any information, just shoot me an email at isitparanormal@mail.com. I definitely will get back to you. And I think that's it for tonight. Everybody have a great weekend, and I will see you next time.